Frigid air continues to take over Texas. We'll track a widespread freeze for tomorrow morning ahead of a winter chilly day.
Plus a live look at the White House where federal buyouts are back on the table. What the judge overseeing the case says was missing from the lawsuit's attempt to block the president's plan.
And with the rise in flu cases, Austin Public Health is concerned about the uncertainty of federal funding, the department's plan to keep the community aware of infectious diseases. But first tonight, winter air returns to Central Texas, and it's bringing frigid wind chills overnight through tomorrow.
Let's go ahead and start with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon. And Nick, you were saying some places are already feeling like below freezing.
Yeah, especially when you factor in the wind. Not many of us are actually all that close to freezing, just the plain air temperature alone. Upper 30s in our warmest spots, low 40s in Austin, upper 30s in our coldest spots in parts of the hill country. But when you factor in wind, which is gusting over 20 miles per hour in places, the wind chill, or that feels like temperature in parts of the hill country, has already dropped into the 20s. So yes, it already feels like it's below freezing in some areas. Right now in Austin, it feels like 39, but it will get colder and colder through the night. We think we get down to 33 in Austin here tomorrow morning, but a lot of the hill country is going to find your regular air temperature getting down into the 20s. So a widespread freeze on the way for the hill country. I think around half of the metro gets down to just below freezing. Then on our eastern counties, mainly a little bit above freezing, but still frigid to begin the day tomorrow. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll track wind chills that continue to drop into the 20s for the day tomorrow for much of the area. More up and down temperatures ahead, including some potential for rain as well.
Right, Nick, thank you very much. Well, with the shuffle in priorities happening at the White House, Austin Public Health says it's closely monitoring resources it might lose.
Especially when it comes to tracking infectious diseases like flu and COVID-19.
If funding were to go away, there may be some things that also go away, like the federal wastewater surveillance system. You know, we are concerned and we're monitoring closely whether we'll lose any data, access to any data sources.
At a time when you may have several sick friends and coworkers, as is common this time of year, APH says they're still working behind the scenes to monitor those conditions and report any concerning trends. KXAN's Grace Reader breaks down what has changed since the pandemic, what's the same, and how you can monitor yourself.
You're hearing it from health agencies, and you might be feeling it in your circles. It's the season for being sick.
Fortunately, I think we're at the peak of our flu season.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, Austin Public Health had a dashboard and gave regular briefings, so it may have been easier to track what was going around and how bad. What about now? Austin Public Health says they're still doing much of the same tracking behind the scenes.
We engage clinical providers or physicians out in the community, those that run big practices, and when they see patients that come in who have influenza-like illness, we ask them to take samples for flu or RSV or COVID, and we send that out to the lab.
Austin Public Health also still tracks hospitalizations and deaths related to those illnesses.
And then finally, since COVID, one tool that we've adopted that we work with the Centers for Disease Control and the state on is doing wastewater surveillance for those conditions.
But how are you supposed to know? While the COVID-19 dashboard has been retired, Austin Public Health does have its flu trends page, which looks like this. It doesn't capture total number of cases, but looks at overall trends for flu-like illnesses.
There's a link for a weekly report that we update every week, and it will give you a more detailed view and analysis of what's circulating in the community.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
And the state of Texas also has a Texas Respiratory Illness Dashboard, which is updated weekly. You can find information on COVID-19, the flu, and RSV there, including emergency room visits, hospitalizations, and deaths.
And going in depth, during the pandemic, COVID-19 was labeled a reportable disease condition that required all providers like nurses, hospitals, and healthcare providers to report COVID-19 outbreaks or a positive test to health departments. But that designation for COVID-19 has gone away, and those groups are no longer required by law to report cases to Austin Public Health. During the pandemic, we also reported heavily on the COVID-19 Modeling Consortium program at the University of Texas, and that has since turned into what's called Epi Engage. That's a CDC center based at UT that is working on outbreak forecasting tools for the future. You can hear more from the team behind the effort tomorrow on KXAN News at 4 p.m.
The city of Austin is keeping a close eye on federal grants, and some of them could be in jeopardy. In a memo, the city's Intergovernmental Relations Office said over the last 4 years, Austin received about $1.2 billion through federal grants. And those grants provide millions to projects including improvements at the airport, the I-35 Cap and Stitch project, and Barton Springs Bridge replacement, also housing goals and public health emergency preparedness and disease tracking, like Grace mentioned. The city says it is continuing to monitor updates from D.C. and asking departments to continue their grant-funded work until told otherwise by their funding agency.
President Donald Trump's buyout plan for federal workers can move forward. A judge put a temporary freeze on the plan last week after labor unions representing federal workers filed a lawsuit to block the program. The groups claim the president's administration did not have legal authority to offer those buyouts. But today, U.S. District Judge George O'Toole Jr. ruled that the unions that filed a lawsuit to block the executive order lacked legal standing to challenge the policy. Under the buyout plan, workers can resign now and get paid through September. The administration introduced the plan to downsize the federal workforce. The White House says tens of thousands of workers have taken up the offer. As of November, the government employed over 3 million people. Governor Greg Abbott shared these photos on the social media platform X, meeting with U.S. Border Czar Tom Homan. The governor said that he was in D.C. to go over how Texas works with the White House to fight the border crisis. And today's meeting comes after news that 2 top immigration and customs enforcement officials have been reassigned. And ICE officials gave no reason for the moves. But yesterday, Homan said that he was unsatisfied with the pace of immigration arrests. And Homan did not give specific numbers. On Monday, though, the White House said ICE made 11,000 arrests over 18 days.
Elgin police believe the deaths of 2 people found in a home was a case of domestic violence. Yesterday, police were called to check in on a home on East 11th Street near SH 95 and US 290. Investigators say they found the bodies of 82-year-old Charles Cunningham and 73-year-old Shirley Cunningham. Police believe it was a murder-suicide. They say there were no prior calls to the home. Now, there is a 24-hour domestic violence hotline for people who are looking for help. You can text the word START to the number 88788. People can also call 1-800-799-SAFE.
School districts along the I-35 corridor are moving forward with May bond elections to deal with the growth here in Central Texas.
A number of districts say they need additional classrooms. On Monday, the Lockhart School District's Board of Trustees unanimously approved calling a $94 million bond election to build a second middle school and purchase land for future projects. The district said Lockhart Junior High School, its only middle school, is projected to be at 100% capacity by the start of next school year.
Optimal capacity for any campus is to operate around 85% capacity. So we're already well over that. And so the need is definitely there.
And last week, the Dripping Springs ISD Board of Trustees called for a bond election that will ask voters to weigh in on a $402 million bond package. If approved, most of the money would go toward building a second high school in the district, something they say is needed to address overcrowding. It would also allow for additional improvement and renovation projects for current campuses.
And online right now at KXAN.com, our digital data reporter Christopher Adams, well, he's got this map right here that you can see on our website, keeping track of which local school districts have set bond elections for May. We will stay on top of this map as more districts call for new elections. Neighborhoods in the Driftwood and Dripping Springs area have been hit with break-ins.
And KXAN's Sarah O'Shea explains what was taken from one family that can't be replaced.
Power tools are sitting right here.
About $1,000 worth of items.
4 batteries in total were taken from my stash here.
Stolen from inside Jacob and Stephanie Skelton's garage in Driftwood. While some of the items can be replaced, they say the thieves also took things that are irreplaceable.
There's the sentimental stuff of the military items that were taken. Some of the stuff I had when I was in Afghanistan. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan. There's a little patch, multicam, like a little red Scorpion of the unit I was attached to. The magazines that were actually in the kit were actually actually ones I carried in Afghanistan.
The family says they didn't hear when it happened, but woke up to find items missing Monday morning.
The next night, I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh, let me make sure everything is locked. And it's just scary because we also have small children.
Their home, apparently one of many in the area, hit.
Another officer showed up and they were talking and like, hey, just so you guys know, you guys aren't the only ones. This happened Sunday night all the way up through Round Rock. It's pretty widespread.
Footage taken from outside a home in Dripping Springs early Monday morning shows someone walk up and try to open the doors of 2 cars in a driveway. The Hays County Sheriff's Office says it's following up on multiple leads. The Skeltons say they moved out to this area to avoid situations like this.
This was supposed to be the forever home.
This experience, among other reasons, now causing them to move again. The family of 4 hoping to find a new place to call home. Sarah Al-Sheh, KXAN News.
And other neighbors in Dripping Springs told KXAN off camera they would like to see license plate readers added, either by law enforcement or their homeowners association. The Hays County Sheriff's Office says it does plan on releasing more information on this investigation at a later time. People in Hays County can find crime trends in their community online. In the summer of 2023, the county added an online portal called Citizen Connect. At the time, it was the first of its kind in the state, and it gives people access to crime and arrest data for the entire county, anything from traffic stops to assaults or robberies.
And Sarah's report tonight started as a tip. If you have something you want us to look into, just let us know by scanning that code right there on your screen with your phone, or you can also send us an email at reportit@kxan.com. There are new calls to restrict the number of aircraft flying through the Washington, D.C. airspace after the mid-air collision between an Army helicopter and a passenger plane. It happened last month near Reagan National Airport. 67 people died. The FAA is now pushing for a permanent helicopter restriction at the airport. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. Lawmakers also sent a letter to the FAA stating that the agency should take immediate steps to improve safety for the public and aviation personnel. Here's what the new Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said recently about the types of helicopters flying around and whether these flights are even necessary.
If we have generals who are flying in helicopters for convenience through this airspace, that's not acceptable. Get in a damn Suburban and drive. You don't need to take a helicopter.
And Secretary Duffy also said there needs to be another look at airspace around the country and also the timing of these helicopter training missions. Now, as far as the crash investigation, the NTSB is expected to have a preliminary report out in the next few weeks.
Okay, Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon joining us now. Let's talk about the cold wind.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing. It's not just the air temperatures down near freezing. The wind's going to make it feel like the 20s here tomorrow morning. And this is how it looks in Lockhart right now. You can see the flags really blowing in that stiff wind here tonight from our Kreitz Market camera there in Lockhart. And the wind will be with us much of the day tomorrow. Air temperatures, though, 40s in Austin, 30s, 20s, and teens to the north of us. And some of that even colder air is going to be working its way into Central Texas here tomorrow morning. We're forecasting a low in Austin of 33. So, of course, that's slightly above freezing. So not everybody gets to below freezing here tomorrow morning, but many of us do. Then we only climb up to 45 here tomorrow afternoon. 66 is average for this time of year. So a full 21 degrees below average here tomorrow. And then when you factor in the wind, it's going to feel colder. That feels like temperature known as the wind chill. You can see what it looks like here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Getting the kids off to school, getting you off to work. It'll feel like the 20s and in some places the teens as you step out. So you want to cover as much skin as you possibly can. Then we get into the afternoon. It starts to feel like the upper 30s and low 40s as the wind gusts come down. It'll start feeling closer to the actual air temperature. But tonight before bed, don't forget to protect your people, pets, plants. Not so much pipes unless you want to be extra careful. It's not going to be cold enough that most pipes would be at risk here tonight. But go ahead and take care of those and wrap them up if you'd like. Here's a look at the clouds and radar. Statewide, no more rain, but we do still have persistent cloud cover after a little bit of a break in the clouds. Those low clouds have been filling back in, and we do expect that we'll be in for a mostly cloudy day tomorrow. We may get a few holes of blue sky here and there, although it's not going to warm us up much. Even a couple of spotty sprinkles possible tomorrow, and another cloudy day here on Friday, and another chance for a spotty sprinkle or shower. Those rain chances tomorrow only at 10%. Think anything would be super light and unlikely to measure up to anything. Wind out of the north, though, 10 to 20 miles per hour. 52 on Friday, and it will be a struggle to get even that warm, which is not very warm, of course, thanks to a mostly cloudy sky. Valentine's Day, though, don't forget about that. Then we're up to 72 Saturday, morning clouds and a morning shower, giving way to some afternoon sun ahead of our next cold front that knocks us down into the low 50s, with Sunday being much sunnier than Saturday, although much cooler. Don't forget about that if you are running the Austin Marathon on Sunday. Then we'll look ahead to next week, Tuesday into possibly Wednesday. Some wet weather comes in. Early indications are that air temperatures will be warm enough for plain rain, but if Tuesday night into Wednesday starts to trend colder with that cold front, we may have to talk about the possibility for some wintry precipitation as well. For right now, it looks like plain rain with more of these up and down temperature trends over the next week. Overnight lows still back in the 30s here Monday morning, with more freezes into early next week too.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening, all, and happy Wednesday. Texas football safeties coach Blake Gideon left about a week ago to head to Georgia Tech as defensive coordinator. Quickly replaced, apparently. Orange Bloods is the first to report that Mark Orfeh from Rutgers joins to replace Gideon on the defensive staff. To Texas women's basketball, they're getting practice underway. This is from just about an hour ago this evening in Lexington. Another top 10 matchup, second one in just about 5 days for the Longhorns. They beat number 2 South Carolina Sunday. They're trying to turn the page on that one to now face number 8 Kentucky in another ranked win. That's tomorrow at 6. Big chance for the Longhorns. So the Texas men, they had an opportunity for another top 2 win a night ago. Things did not go very well. Texas again struggled early in this one, and they could not mount a comeback. This bucket here with over 17 minutes to go in the second half put Alabama up 19. Texas was never really in this one. That's 3 straight losses for the Longhorns and some clear frustration.
Obviously, the mood was kind of down, bad loss. And, we got some guys that are really good competitors in there. So, it really sucks. But we have a fairly older group. So we know that, we got another home game coming up. And, we got to get one for, Austin.
Well, there are some names that just insinuate things in sports. Arch Manning is expected to be a great quarterback, right? With a name of quarterback royalty. For Jameer Nelson Jr. of the Austin Spurs, he's expected by many to have a good career in basketball. He's dead set on that now, but it definitely was not always this way. Playing without a smile on your face, a big no for Jameer Nelson Jr.
I'm supposed to be an energy guy, and I'm a smaller guy, so I can't be coming around like somebody's gonna pick me top 5 regardless of how I act. So I gotta definitely come in with the right energy.
He's the oldest of 4 with 3 younger sisters who all love softball, 2 of which play in college and apparently control the remote at home.
I'm a fan, but I'm oversaturated. I know all the players, I know the team's tendencies, I know who pitches fast. I should know all this stuff. I don't watch it.
Father of this athletic family, Jameer Nelson Sr., 14-year NBA veteran and former All-Star who definitely did not force basketball onto his kids. Junior's main focus was baseball until one summer in high school.
But I always would be messing around kind of on the court, so my dad would always tell me, don't come around here without tying your shoes. If you're going to come in here, don't be BSing around. So I came in there, and I was working out with them every day, and it killed me for a whole summer.
Nelson started his college career playing at George Washington, just happy to be getting a free education, very unsure of his future in the sport.
I didn't know that I could honestly be good until I went to Delaware.
Nelson transferred to Delaware in the middle of his sophomore season at GW because of some turmoil within that program, and he had to sit out the rest of that year. That was hard on his mental health. He had to really build himself back up with the help of Pops.
My dad was like, if you want to suck at home, you could have just stayed and sucked into your dorm and stuff like that. So I was just like, that kind of kind of reset it.
2 impressive years at Delaware and then a final year at TCU that left him fully chasing this journey in basketball and signing as an undrafted free agent with the Spurs after college. That's a long way from basketball being his secondary sport to now his job.
You have to want it every day. You kind of got to just pick it up again every day. And even if you don't want to, if you're tired, you're sore, because this really is a job. You got to take it serious.
And he is just very much enjoying it along the way. Hard not to root for Nelson. Also news breaking late tonight. Pillar of the franchise, Alex Bregman, been with the Houston Astros since 2016, according to multiple reports, heading to the Boston Red Sox in a 3-year deal for $120 million. More sports over on KXAN.com.